نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we're looking at the initial, I'd say first half of Surah Luqman. Yeah, about that much. And this is mostly going to cover like basic principles, basic what to do, what not to do of Islam, and like a sort of comprehensive guideline, right? So let's start. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alif Lam Mim. Tilka ayatul kitab al-Hakim. These are ayat of Kitab al-Hakim, a book of wisdom or a wise book, right? And actually, before we start, let me give a bit of an introduction. So, Luqman, or Hakeem Luqman, the wise Luqman, was basically this person that was known to be, very wise and very pious and very, just known to be a good person, right? And the Arabs would use his references a lot. Like, how we normally quote people to make our points look stronger and stuff. We quote Allama Iqbal sometimes, or we quote, scholars and whatnot, right? So likewise, the Arabs used to quote Hakeem Luqman a lot. He wasn't from among their time. He was like a person far, far ago in history, right? But they used to quote him a lot because he was, known to be very wise and widely accepted. And so now Allah is, when Allah is sending down Surah Luqman, He's like, okay, you want to quote him, you want to talk about him? We'll give you references from him. We'll talk about him, what he said. And, see how his guidelines and guidance and words align with this message of Allah, the message that Rasulullah ﷺ is bringing, right? And something that's agreed upon about him is that he himself, Luqman himself, was not a prophet or a messenger. He was not a Nabi. He was not a Rasul. What there's a difference of opinion about, though, is whether any prophetic teachings reached him or not. And both sides, have good points. Some scholars say that no prophetic teachings reached him. He didn't get the teachings of any scripture, any prophet. He just had wisdom from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he had, a pure fitrah. His nur, the nur of his fitrah was very pure, very clean. It wasn't blurred or corrupted or anything. So that's why he, was able to seek out the truth. But some say, no, his words and his actions indicate that he did get prophetic teachings. And we'll discuss that as we go. But that's not too important, right? The point is that he was well accepted to be a person who was wise, who was on the right path, and who was guided, right? So let's see. Tilka ayatul kitab al-Hakim. These are ayat of a book of wisdom, a wise book. And note the similarity to the start of this surah and the start of Surah Baqarah. Starts in the exact same way, right? Alif Lam Mim, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ تِلْكَ آيَاتُ الْكِتَابِ الْحَكِيمِ. Then هُدًى وَرَحْمَةً لِلْمُحْسِنِينَ. And Surah Baqarah says هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. And, same, like it goes more or less the same. But that's just a point of beauty about Islam, of the Quran. Nothing too important there. But yeah. تلك آية الكتاب الحكيم. These are verses of a wise book. هدى ورحمة للمحسنين. It has hidayah, it has guidance, and rahmah, mercy. For who? For the muhsinin. Now, we discussed ihsan a bit yesterday, right? Muhsinin are those who do ihsan. Let me just recap really quickly. What is ihsan? Ihsan is going above and beyond, right? ihsan is doing more than you're supposed to, or you're required to, or you're obligated to do. So let's like the example I gave yesterday, and one I'll repeat is the in matters of divorce, specifically when a marriage hasn't been consummated yet, is that the woman is owed half the mahr. Not the full, because obviously the marriage hasn't been consummated yet, but also she isn't supposed to just go away with nothing, because obviously the marriage did happen, and the paperwork happened and all of that. So she's owed half the mahr, right? But then the Quran says, well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if the man gives all of it, then that is ihsan. That is him going above and beyond. That is him doing more than he is required to do. That's good, there's a lot more reward for ihsan. And this is also, like, when it's explained, there's sort of there's basically a 3-level hierarchy. The level 1 is Islam, basically accepting, right? Submitting. So whatever commands you're being given, you accept. You're like, okay, Allah gave me this command, I'm going to do it. And there's Iman, having conviction, having faith in your heart, right? And the 3rd level upon that is Ihsan. And that's the highest level, right? Ihsan is when, you go above and beyond. You don't hold back. You don't just fulfill the right. You go above and beyond. And there's a hadith about the definition of ihsan. And don't quote me on the exact wording here, but it goes something to the effect of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked what is ihsan, and he responded with, ihsan is praying salah as if you are seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as if you're seeing him in front of him, right? And if you cannot do this, then at least constantly being conscious of the fact that Allah is seeing you, Allah is watching you, right? This is ihsan, like the level of ihsan. So basically, like, the second part isn't ihsan. The first part is ihsan. That, like, seeing Allah in front of you. Obviously you can't see with your eyes, but like having that entire feeling and perception and conviction in your heart that while I'm praying, Allah is standing right in front of me. And this is proven from a hadith, right? Rasulullah said that whenever you stand in prayer, Allah himself comes and stands in front of you in prayer. And another hadith says, when you prostrate, when you go to sujood, like, feel as if, or like perceive it as if you are putting your head in the feet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is ihsan, right? So, and about the last hadith, that Allah stands in front of himself, in front of the one in salah himself. We don't know how he stands. We don't know what him even coming down and standing himself means, but that is just the hadith, right? Actually, don't quote me on that. That might be. I'll look for the reference. I might be wrong about that. I've just heard it somewhere. Anyways, so yeah, hudan wa rahmatan lil muhsinin. So, and Quran varies this in the wording varies at multiple locations in the Quran. In Surah Baqarah it says hudan lil muttaqin. Here it says hudan lil muhsinin. That varies. So yeah, here it's saying hudan wa rahmatan lil muhsinin. So the ones who do ihsan, the ones who do goodness above and beyond what is required of them, this is hidayah and rahmah for them. الذين يقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون الزكاة وهم بالآخرة هم يوقنون. Now who are the people these muhsinin? Who are they? They are the ones who yuqimuna as-salata. They establish their prayer. They, keep firm on their prayer. They don't let their prayers go to waste. وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ. And they give zakat. Right? وَهُمْ بِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ. And on the akhirah, they are those who have yaqeen, full belief, conviction, certainty about the akhirah. Right? Now, an important thing to note here is, for everything else, Allah uses the word iman. يؤمنون بالله ورسوله وكتاب, all that. آمنت بالله وملائكته وكتبه. So, آمنا يؤمن. Iman, basically, the root word being amana. But for akhirah, Allah here is using yuqinun, yaqeen, conviction. And why, what this essentially, the difference between iman and yaqeen is, iman is like knowing in your heart, right? Iman is like belief in your heart. It can go up, it can go down, it can vary. But yaqeen, conviction, is something that basically drives you to action. And how scholars interpret this as basically iman bil akhirah, or certainty, conviction in the akhirah, is actually the true driving force of action, of deeds, of true piety. Because if you believe in Allah, if you have iman billah but not iman bil akhirah, then sure, you're going to constantly sit and meditate and think about Allah, but you're not going to fix your affairs. You're not going to make sure you fulfill the rights of people. You're not going to make sure you don't do fraud, or you don't harm someone. You're not going to fix your worldly affairs because you're like, I won't be held accountable, right? You might do it out of fear of a worldly system of justice, but you'll be if you don't believe in the akhirah, you'll be like, okay, whatever I can get away with in this world, I can do. If no one's seeing me, I can continue, watching whatever filth I can in my room, or if no one's watching, I can just steal whatever. But no, the driving force that's gonna take you away, stop you from bad deeds and make you do good deeds, is iman bil akhirah. That no, I'll be judged. I'm gonna be answerable, accountable for everything I do and don't do. So iman bil akhirah is the true driving force behind actions, essentially. So this is, one explanation of this, that as long as you need more than you can have iman billah. You can't basically, just that's it. As long as you don't have conviction in the akhirah, your affairs are not gonna be fixed. If you have iman bil risala, you believe in the prophets, but you don't have iman bil akhirah, you're just gonna end up doing milads and writing nats and singing nats and nasheeds and whatnot. But you're never gonna actually try and follow the sunnah and fix your affairs. That's just not gonna happen. Iman bil akhirah is the driving force for that. Anyways, moving forward. أولئك على هدى من ربهم. They are those, the context being the muhsineen are those, على هدى من ربهم, who are on guidance, on hidayah from their Lord. وأولئك هم المفلحون. And they are the ones who will be successful, who are successful actually, who have falah. So again, because this is a reference to I'll actually reference multiple Quranic ayat here. Allah says, those who, when we give them, or those who have iman and strive for our deen, we give them authority in the land. And there's multiple things like this, right? So, and most importantly, success isn't really success in the akhirah, right? So the muhsineen who are establishing prayer and giving zakat and they believe in the akhirah, of course they're going to be successful in the akhirah. So that's what muflihun. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَن يَشْتَرِي لَهْوَ الْحَدِيثِ. Okay, now this is an important ayah. And وَمِنَ النَّاسِ, and from the people, مَن يَشْتَرِي لَهْوَ الْحَدِيثِ, is the one who buys lahw al-hadith. Now, what is lahw al-hadith? Lahv is something that is like attractive, but in a negative sense. Like that it's amusement, it's attractive, it can like completely engulf your focus and your attention and take it away from anything else. And basically, lahw al-hadith, if I give you a reference, you'll understand it better. This is like the specific context of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and like the time of at that time is basically when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was giving his sermons and was giving da'wah. There was a guy, what was his name? Nadhr bin Haris, right? And what he did was he basically, the mushrikeen, they were all very concerned that there's a certain ta'thir in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's words, and people go and listen to him and people are affected by what they listen to, and he's quickly garnering attention and support, right? And so they were like, how do we get people away from him? How do we take people's focus away and attention away? So what this guy did, Nadhr bin Haris, he brought a really beautiful slave girl from Syria who would sing and dance, right? And at night or in the evening time, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would give his sermons or would be doing da'wah, he would have like concerts and like basically shows of that slave girl. So people would be attracted to that as opposed to going to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And like he thought, like obviously people get amused and people see entertainment, people want to go there, right? And so basically, actually let's complete the ayah and then I'll go into further explanation. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَن يَشْتَرِي لَهْوَ الْحَدِيثِ. From among the people, there's the one who buys lahw al-hadith, this amusement, this distraction. لِيُضِلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ, so that he can misguide, lead astray, لِيُضِلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, from the path of Allah, from the way of Allah, بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ, without knowledge, without any ilm, without any actual counter evidence, without having to debate and present, because obviously they couldn't with knowledge they couldn't counter the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because it was very logical, it was very he had all the right evidences, he had wahi, but so obviously they couldn't counter him with ilm. So they were like, we need to find some other way. So what they did was لِيُضِلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ, so that they could they could lead astray from the path of Allah, they could mislead from the path of Allah, بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ, without ilm. وَيَتَّخِذَهَا هُزُوًا, and whoever accesses it, whoever takes it, whoever like يَتَّخِذَهَا, meaning like whoever goes and enjoys this lahw al-hadith, he is accessing nothing but huzwa, in ridicule, in like they're going to be shamed for it, right? Ulaika lahum adhabun muhin, and indeed they will have like a humiliating, disrespectful punishment. Like muhin being something that will that you will lose all respect, all status, all standing, everything. It will be humiliating for you, that punishment. Okay. So basically, that was the context in which we're talking. It happened at that time, right? Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was speaking. He was giving da'wah. He was inviting to the Quran. He was inviting to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and this guy was arranging concerts at the same time, so that people would go there instead of go listen to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, right? And it worked. People were obviously, now imagine this. People spend the day working, right? They come back home in the evening, and they want to rest, they want to recharge, they want to refresh a bit. And now they have an option between going to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and learning Islam, understanding the Quran, studying Quran, or going to a concert, or going to a dance party, or going to basically, I don't want to use Urdu words because they get really they're just not nice words, right? Basically, yeah, it was like, call it a strip show, essentially, right? So they did that, but note what Allah is saying. وَيَتَّخِذَهَا هُزُوًا. The ones who accessed it, the ones who went and enjoyed it, they did so in like ridicule. They were made fun of. They were also humiliated, and basically, now someone is this thing, that the whole concept of such strip shows, it wasn't like a part of civilized society, right? It was considered bad even for the mushrikeen, right? So whoever went there, they were sort of like accepting that label of, yeah, I'm, not the most civilized person, or I go to, strip clubs. Like, they were sort of accepting that. So it was, in a way, sort of like a bad mark on them. That even though they were going, but it was still like they had to, there were some consequences to it. Like, in society, they wouldn't have the same standing. They would, like, sort of lose some moral standing by going there, right? Now, in today's day and age, what is lahw al-hadith? Well, consider this. Ramadan just started, and what was happening in Ramadan? There was Champions Trophy going on during the day, and for some of the night as well. And there were football matches going on. And in the morning, you would have Shani Ramadan. And in the evening, you'd have Shani Ramadan. Right? And all these Ramadan transmissions and all these shows. What was happening in them? Was it not lahw al-hadith? I mean, okay, put aside Ramadan transmissions for now. I'll come back to them later. Everything else, the football matches, the cricket matches, the dramas, the movies, all of that, were they not lahw al-hadith? They were taking away from, people were not going to Taraweeh and sitting and watching a match. People weren't reading the Quran in during the fast. They were watching a cricket match. People were standing in line for hours to go into a cricket stadium to watch a match, but people didn't have the patience to stand for an hour or two in Taraweeh. What was this if not Lahu al Hadith? Come to Ramadan transmissions. What happens in Ramadan transmissions? Is it more beneficial or more a waste of time and a more of a sin? Because it's a good bit of it is pointless and sometimes indecent conversation, improper dressing, music, and overall just a waste of time, right? It's taking you away from giving time to Quran, right? So it is Lahu al Hadith. So all of these things, they're taking us away from the deen. They're Lahu al Hadith. And what are we doing? We celebrate them. We enjoy them. We're so happy. Did you see the match last night? It was so good. They won by they were in the last over. They won on the last ball. It was such a close match, such a exciting match. Did you go read Taraweeh last night? Did you read Quran yesterday? Did you did you do any? Did you? People are missing prayers in Ramadan and going and watching a cricket match. What kind of Ramadan is this? What are your fasts for? Why even are you fasting? What's the purpose? Like, just diet, right? Just you're doing it for dieting at this point. You should just do intermittent fasting. Why fast every day for like 12, 13 hours? Like, do more diet conscious fasting. That'll be better. At least it'll give you some health benefits. I mean, this is actively wasting this blessed month, actively earning God knows how many sins, and literally just this is the definition of Lahu al Hadith, right? And the worst part, in that time, for whoever was enjoying this Lahu al Hadith, at least they had to take on and accept the label of they're like not the most civilized person. They have tastes like women dancing and singing. They had to accept that this person, they're not a great person. They go to that concert or they go to that strip club. They lost some moral standing there. But we have everything in our pockets now. Smartphones. Who knows? And I think all of us know. All of us know the kind of filth that is being watched behind closed doors. All of us know the waste of time and energy and money that is happening through these devices. And I'm not saying these are bad. They're good. They have a lot of good. You're listening to this lecture on a mobile phone, I'm presuming, right? But what percentage of us is using these for good, and what percentage is using these for bad? Forget, what percent of us, how much of our usage is for good and how much is for bad. I don't want to label people, I want to label usage. What percent of your smartphone usage hours are beneficial and what percentage are destructive? Just think about it sometime, right? So essentially, we have taken the problem and made it worse. You wanna I have seen people sitting at Tarawih and watching a cricket match on their phone until the Imam goes into ruku, and then they run and join the prayer. I mean, Allahu Akbar Kabira. What has the world come to? You know, the thing is, and I don't want to make big claims or big fatwas against someone, but this is primarily because we want to look pious and look righteous when we're actually not. We don't want to actually be righteous. We don't want to actually be pious. We don't want to be a good person. We want to look like a good person. We want to look like, we want to be able to say that I prayed all 20 Taraweeh. No, you actually did. You sat back for half the time watching a cricket match on your phone. Just because just because you're allowed to join in ruku does not mean that you're going to abuse it and still count it as being, oh, I do such a good deed, I read all 20 Taraweeh. I mean, what is this? Like, you tell me yourself, what is this? So, I mean, honestly, we've made the problem so much worse, and we don't even realize it. And all of our priorities only come in when we're doing something good. So, you can watch a cricket match all day. Kids can watch cricket matches, and they can go to a stadium, and they can go out and play. But the moment someone will want to come to, a Dars Quran or a Dawla Quran or Taraweeh, parents will stand up and say, oh no, you have papers you need to prepare for. You can't waste time here. Okay, he can't waste time, but he was allowed to waste time watching a cricket match for 3 hours. He was allowed to do that, but he can't go and connect with the Quran for a few hours a day. In this blessed month, in the month of Ramadan, in the month of the Quran, that will, be a waste of time, but not a cricket match. That's just entertainment. That's just him refreshing his mind, taking a break. We need to see where our priorities are at. We need to honestly, we need to take a cold, hard look against our, on our authorities and see what's happening. So, moving forward. وَإِذَا تُتْلَى عَلَيْهِ آيَاتُنَا, and when our ayat are recited to him, وَلَّى مُسْتَكْبِرًا كَأَنْ لَمْ يَسْمَعْهَا, he turns away, وَلَّى, mustakbiran, with takabbur, with arrogance, right? He turns away arrogantly. كَأَنْ لَمْ يَسْمَعَهَا, and he turns away arrogantly as if he didn't hear, as if he hadn't heard anything. He's like, did you say something? No? Yeah. كأن في أذنيه وقرا, and as if there was as if he was deaf, as if his ears didn't work. فبشره بعذاب أليم, so give him glad tidings, congratulate him on the painful punishment. Now, essentially, that is what we do as well, isn't it? The ayat of Allah recited to us. The call to... Allah calls us 5 times a day. Hayya ala salah, hayya ala falah. and we we literally act like we're deaf. We don't listen to it. Or even if we do listen to it, do we ever go actually? No, we don't. Most of us don't. But our phones call us once. Ding! And you run towards, you're like, what happened? What happened? Who texted me? What new happened in the world? I need to know. I mean, what is this? You're gonna leap towards a new Mr. Beast video, but you don't have 10 minutes of spare time to respond to Allah's call. And Allah's call, you know the promise Allah is making with that call? Hayya ala salah, hayya ala falah. Come to salah, come to success, falah. Falah. What is your phone promising you? Every time it dings, what does it promise? Does it give you any promises? The most that you can ever gain from your phone dinging is what? Allah is saying, come to prayer, come to success. And you're like, no, not now, I'll come another time. Allahu Akbar kabira. And for people like this, for people like us, Allah is saying, فَبَشِّرْهُ بِعَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ. Give them, congratulate them. فَبَشِّرْ. Give them glad tidings. Of what? Of عَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ. Painful, excruciating punishment. Why? Why is Allah saying فَبَشِّرْ? Why is Allah saying congratulate them? Well, because they seem happy in their choice, right? They seem perfectly happy in the choice they've made. They seem perfectly happy in choosing a cricket match over namaz. And they seem perfectly happy in choosing a movie over Taraweeh. So, okay, if they're happy, sure, congratulate them for their happiness. We'll give them an Adhabun Alim. Because that's what they deserve. That's what their actions are about. If they're happy, let them be happy. But let them know that this is what their happiness is leading them to. فَبَشِّرْهُ بِعَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ لَهُمْ جَنَّاتُ النَّعِيمِ. And indeed, those who believe, those who have iman, وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, and do righteous deeds, do amal salih, lahum jannatun na'im. For them are the gardens of ni'mah. Na'im meaning that will please you. Gardens of pleasure. That will be full of ni'mah, full of blessings. Jannatin na'im. What is the, Islam doesn't ask a lot of you. Allah doesn't ask too much of you. It's simple. It's literally very simple. And you can't even fulfill that. Allah is asking you for so little and giving you so much. He's promising you so much. Lahum jannatun na'im. And we're like, no, I'd rather watch a cricket match. Khalidina fiha. They will stay therein forever. Like forever and ever. وَعَدَ اللَّهِ حَقٌّ. وَعَدَ اللَّهِ حَقًّا. Indeed, Allah's promise, Allah's guarantee is haqq, is true. Allah doesn't go against His promise. وَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. And indeed, He is the most mighty and the most wise. He has the most wisdom. خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ بِغَيْرِ عَمَدٍ تَرَوْنَهَا. He is the one who He created the samawat, the heavens, بغير عمد ترونها, without any like support, like pillars essentially. بغير عمد, without pillars between them, without pillars to hold them up. ترونها, and so that you can see. He's made them for you to see. Like who's holding up this? He has made the sky, and it stays in its place without any pillars. وَأَلْقَى فِي الْأَرْضِ, and he has put into the earth rawasi, mountains, أَن تَمِيدَ بِكُمْ أَن تَمِيدَ بِكُمْ, so that it doesn't shift, out of fear that, because it could shift, it could move, there would be. And this is a fact of geology. Someone was like, I was attending this lecture, and the guy was a petroleum engineer by profession. And he was saying that when we were studying geology, we were taught how how the structure of mountains actually makes the tectonic plates much harder to shift. Like they would move a lot more if these mountains weren't there. So Allah is saying we placed mountains so that this earth is, a calm place for you. It stays, it doesn't shift. وَبَثَّ فِيهَا مِن كُلِّ دَابَّةٍ, and وَبَثَّ فِي, and he spread therein, he dispersed therein all kinds of creatures. وَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً, and he sent down from the sky water, right? And you'll find this in a lot of places in the Quran. وَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً. And the interesting part about this is it is now close to certain, like scientists are pretty much certain about the fact that water isn't actually from Earth. Like it wasn't originally on Earth. It came later. It was sent down. Right? So this is like, no one could have known this 1400 years ago. But Allah is saying, وَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً, we sent down from the skies water, from the sky water. فَأَنبَتْنَا فِيهَا مِن كُلِّ زَوْجٍ كَرِيمٍ, and we grew therein plants of every category, of every noble category, like zawjin, every kind of plant, right? And again, the point of mentioning it right after water is plants grow with water. So, هذا خلق الله فأروني. This is the khalq of Allah. This is the creation of Allah. فأروني. فأروني ماذا خلق الذين من دونه. So, like Allah is saying, show me anything that anyone else has created. Allah is mentioning, I've created this, and this. Show me what you've created. Show me what your gods, the ones who you associate with me, show me what they have created. The ones whom you worship beside me or alongside me. Show me a creation of theirs. What have they achieved? بل الظالمون في ضلال مبين. Instead, rather, the ظالمون, the wrongdoers, are in ضلال مبين, in clear error, in clear darkness, in clear ضلالة. Now, actually I took way too long on this portion. But now, this is now the. Actually, I should break into another video. So basically, the next part is gonna be the next ruku. It's a shorter ruku, but that is essentially now we're coming to Luqman, Hakeem Luqman, and his nasiha, his teaching or his advice to his son, right? And we'll discuss that inshallah in the next part. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum.